Hi everybody, welcome to another Divorce Workshop Talks today. We're going to invite Anastasia on. We're going to talk about the importance of divorce coaching. Just want to let you guys know that so they're waiting for Anastasia to get on. And just let you know that all these videos are going to be on our YouTube channel, divorceworkshop.ca. So if you can't catch them on Instagram, you can catch them on our YouTube channel. Anyways, hope everybody is well. Good morning.
Good morning. Always a little trouble logging on first thing. It hasn't had its coffee yet. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Great. And I want to mention congratulations on your new book release, Just Separated Workbook.
Yeah.
Available on Amazon, I believe.
Yeah, available worldwide on Amazon. So
wonderful. It's a great resource. I'm going to order mine this weekend, actually. I'm looking forward to reading it.
Thank you for your support. We hope to help many, right? Even as we talk about today, the importance of divorce coaching, this book is just a foundational book for everybody, right? It'll just help them get a little bit understanding what divorce is really about. So, but anyways, before we start, I just want to introduce yourself a little bit before we get into the topic today.
Fantastic. So good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're watching from. My name is Anastasia Frangakis, and I am the founder of the Seraphim Life Coach. I was a divorcee, and I struggled through my divorce journey, and I really wanted to have someone in my corner. So after I retired, I became a life coach, and I specialize in relationships, specifically divorce and divorce transitions and recovery, allowing a client to get through all stages of divorce, whether it's the planning, during, and after. So that's a little bit about me. I've been doing this for a couple years now. I love my clients. I love the results that they achieve and that they are satisfied in their divorce journey as much as you can be when you're going through an emotional journey like that.
Yeah, I just want to start off because I've been going on about 7 years.
Yes.
And post separation, divorce type of thing. And back then, I didn't even know that divorce coaches existed, right? So I would have helped me greatly with, because I feel a lot of people still today are pretty naive to what all divorce, what the whole thing of divorces looks like. And I'm wondering if you're thinking, like, is it divorce coaching has become much more common now over the last maybe 4 years? Is that what you've seen as well?
I have seen that. So divorce coaching has actually been around for about 15 years officially, with some excellent training out in the field. There's really about 2 or 3 really predominant superb coaching schools that specialize in the divorce and divorce transition training. So I think as the younger generation, which is more accustomed to coaching rather than like, for example, the boomers, which kind of held everything inside, and even counseling was a stigma. I think it's just more accepted today. And we can also talk about a little later, the difference between counseling and coaching, because it's a vast difference. And coaching is so incredible. Not that counseling is not, it's a different space.
Yeah, I think I would have, because I'm going to be honest here, I was in therapy, but I think coaching just would have had me better prepared for everything.
Better different tools to work with. Yeah.
Right. So let's talk about some of the importance of, like, a lot of times when you see clients, they're very uncertain, right? So I think that probably coaches really do help them navigate, right, through this process. But what other things do you find that's important for divorce coaches, and what do they do to help people?
So there's a lot of fear and anxiety around divorce, right there, and so much uncertainty. what's going to happen with me financially? What's going to happen to my children? How am I going to maintain the relationships with my ex-spouse if you choose to? I mean, you can choose to take the amicable road and have a relationship afterwards, so that when your children are getting married, you don't have this anxiety that you're going to see your spouse that you haven't seen, your ex-spouse that you haven't seen in many years. We can learn to manage that.
Yeah. Also, if you think about it, you could almost see a divorce coach before.
Absolutely. In the planning
Right?
stages, it's critical, because what it does, it helps you with manage the relationship with what they want that relationship to look like with their soon-to-be ex, right? Do they want it to be friendly? Do they want to sever all ties? How do they want to tell their children, if that's in the play? How are they going to manage while they're working, going through divorce? Because a lot of times there's missed work because of either litigation or mediation, or however their journey is going. So coaches help navigate that whole process.
Yeah, before and during and after, right?
Before, during, and after.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
After is one of my favorite places to work. I mean, I love all of them, but I love seeing the excitement in someone's eyes, that it's not the be all end all. It's like they have the potential of having a beautiful life after divorce. And
Yeah.
what it will look like, whether it may or may not include another relationship. It may include a new career. It may also let them find hobbies they've never had the opportunity to explore before. I mean, the opportunities are endless. It's their dream, their vision. We just help them get there.
And I think another thing that seems to be coming up a lot is the team approach with divorce, right? So the coaching is one key aspect of that. And then you have your legal team, lawyer, mediator, whatever you guys are choosing. You can have your financial advisors, you can have your therapists, you can have co-parenting coaches even. I mean,
even realtors. They are
yeah.
realtors that specialize with couples that are divorcing, because they address the common pitfalls in a more professional manner. So there's actually a career in I forget what it's called, certified divorce realtors or something.
Yeah. I think they're up in Canada as well. So I think that we were seeing a slow progression, like a web of services that kind of can help many divorcing people that, as I said to you at the beginning of this, is I wish I had, right? So a lot of lack of knowledge when it comes to this type of stuff. So let's just talk a little bit about the difference between counseling and coaching. You want to talk about that?
Sure. So coaching is very forward thinking. It provides you the tools and helps you navigate where you want to be moving forward. Counseling looks back at your past hurts and things like that. It's also usually, for the most part, a longer process. Whereas coaching, you can, that my average sessions are 12 weeks, 12 sessions, depending on how that looks like, whether it's once a week, twice a week, every other week, however the client how they want the coaching journey to look like. So it's a shorter term, it's cost effective, not only with, as opposed to counseling, but it also helps you save money when you're working with attorneys.
Yeah, we have to bring that up too, right?
Yeah.
Like that it'll save you quite a bit of money actually, because instead of talking to your lawyer, which are, lawyers have their big aspect in divorce, but also, they're not therapists, they're not coaches. Use them for what they're good for, right? They know the law, right?
Exactly. And we are not attorneys, and
Yep.
we definitely stay within our lane. But not only the attorneys, but their paralegals and things, they're not trained. I mean, they will listen, but the clock is ticking, number one, and they're not really trained to handle the specific questions that arise that a client will have.
Right.
You know?
Plus, you can get a really good connection with your coach, right? Like that, you know what I mean? Like it can be a really nice, supportive, empowering connection, right? So
it is, and it's confidential, and you don't have to put your emotional baggage out to John Doe, like if the
Mm-hmm.
waitress brings you the bill and you start crying, I'm
Mm-hmm.
getting divorced, and you start spilling, and it's like, it happens because you're just caught up in the journey.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just such an emotional roller coaster. I mean, I use that in my advertising. It's emotional roller coaster, because it is.
Yeah.
I spilled my guts out to every person that I engaged with, and
Mm-hmm.
they were polite, but they don't know how to respond.
Right.
They really
Yeah.
don't.
And and it makes them uncomfortable as well, right? Because they're like,
Right.
I don't know what to say to you, right? So
Exactly.
another thing I want to talk about, which I'm really actually glad you brought up, is the workplace, right? Like how companies are hiring divorce coaches to help with their employees. And I thought, you know what, I think that's really, really important, because as you say at the beginning, like when you're going through, like, we know that divorce is one of the biggest stressors in life, right? Like, as
I
me
think
as a
it's
thanatologist,
one of the top three, I
yeah,
believe.
I
Yeah.
have to say it's definitely way up there.
Hmm.
And I think that as you said, like, you can lose productivity, you have days off. And I think spreading this awareness that what actually happens in a divorce can actually help the workplace and the employer, but also the people in it, right? Like, that if they're getting support.
Yeah. So I encourage clients to speak out if they work for a larger progressive company,
Mm-hmm.
to speak out to their HR department and their human resources department and ask, hey, is that a resource available? And if not, is that something that they would consider in the
Mm-hmm.
future? Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with the productivity, because of the stress and anxiety, the clients are less motivated to go to work. They're distracted. Sometimes it impacts employee relations with other coworkers and colleagues, because they have a tendency to withdraw or disengage, or they overshare, and then the other employee, they don't know how to set their boundaries and
Mm-hmm.
say, really, this isn't the right place to share in the workforce.
If you think about also a lot of people that are going through this major stressful event can get also more sick, right? Because their immunity systems are down. And so there can be more leave of absence, not because they don't want to go to work. Maybe they just got sick. I often say to make sure to take a multivitamin through this.
Vitamin
If
C,
you're not,
yeah,
right, if you're not eating
complex.
properly.
Yeah,
Mhm,
eating is a huge component. A lot of people, well, some women will gain weight, some will lose,
mhm,
because they, depending on how they adapt to stressors.
yeah.
And so, and then if you're gaining weight, I mean, that's another factor, like,
Mhm,
oh, help it targets your
mhm,
self-esteem. Or even if you're losing weight, if you're at a comfortable weight, if you're very vulnerable to that, it will affect
yeah.
you. Yeah.
I myself personally, I couldn't eat. So
Mhm.
that's how I handle stress, right? I kind of stop eating. So it's neither way is good way, but it's just the way we're all coping. But another thing I want to point out is also, I stay hydrated, right? Keep drinking water, and try to keep that immunity strong, because your cortisol levels are way out of sync when you're going through a stressful event. Even if it was decently amicable, right? Like, what, 80% are moderate conflict, right? Is that about approximately
That's
right?
I I'm not really sure of that statistic. That sounds about right, but the ones
Mm-hmm.
that are high conflict get all the media attention,
Yeah.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
and it really depends on the two individuals how they want to handle it, which is so important. Even like before they get divorced, why relationship coaching is so important.
Mm-hmm.
Before you get to that point, go to a relationship specialist and see if you can, because the best outcome is no outcome, right? Is
Mm-hmm.
not to go file for the divorce to keep that marriage intact. But if you find yourself down that road, then go to someone who specializes how to cope with it, how to deal with it.
Yeah. And I think seeing somebody would be beneficial for most. And I think that's something that we need to get out there more, even if it's just one session, to kind of explain to them, you know, what it's going to look like, what do you have to prepare for, even the way that, who you're divorcing. Like, are you divorcing someone you think is going to, like, do you know your ex? Like, is he going to be difficult? Right? Like, we don't know, right? Like, most likely are difficult in the marriage, they're probably going to be difficult in the divorce, right? I'm not saying everybody, but just kind of figure out those, like, I didn't know. I had such naive hope, right? I'm like, for some reason, it was difficult throughout the 19 years. I don't know why I thought it was going to be just an easy divorce, right? So I was kind of very naive to that. So I think if I had talked to someone, I would have maybe, got me thinking more and a little bit better prepared. And I think that's kind of the things what I always say is the better prepared you are, the better prepared the outcome will be. At least you'll know kind of more about the whole thing.
That's so true. And if you are expecting an unfavorable outcome, we can give you the tools to cope and to communicate. So not to raise the other person's triggers so that you keep them on more of an even keel. Obviously, if they're all over the map prior to the divorce, you're probably going to see that. But the way you communicate to them, what can bring down, it's just even by speaking softer, it will change the perception of where that person is, you're throwing them off balance, so they don't know how to communicate back, and it makes them think, or at least pause.
Yeah. And I was saying to somebody else that not even learning to not react to everything they throw at you.
Or
right?
Take that time and pause.
Yes, pause.
Breathe. Use some somatic breathing and somatic exercises that help, things that your coach will help put in your toolbox, right, to deal with those things, so you're not so reactive. Say, or if it's going to keep you up all night, make a plan. I'm just going to look at messages between 12 and 1. And that's it. The rest of the time they can pile up. Now I know that there's some people say children are involved and things like that. That's where apps like there are certain apps like
Wizard, Family Wizard.
Our Family Wizard is a wonderful tool.
Yeah, I think so. Sometimes they're even court ordered, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Yeah.
And I think they're
nice
like
no, go ahead. Go ahead. What's nice about them, there's a tone meter in them now. So if you say something in a very angry manner, they'll say, do you want to bring it down a notch? And it'll let you re-record and send it. So that's a very nice feature. I work very closely with the local, she's out of Sarasota, Our Family Wizard representative.
Yeah, I think it's important too. When my parents were divorcing in the 70s, I had wished they had that, because they had no idea what they were doing. Think back then they didn't have a lot of knowledge about anything about divorce except a lot of stigma. But I would have loved to have not, because there was no, the transitions were very, challenging. It would have been much nicer if it was much easier, right? But that's why we've come a long way, and that's how we can conclude today is that it's one of the really good things about divorce coaching. It can really be helpful, and I think it's an important topic that we talked about.
Yeah. So my part of my niche is, divorce with dignity. It's very important, and not only your dignity, but the family's dignity, right? It's very important to keep that intact. So I thank you for today. I wanted to share, aside from the kudos for your book, if you go to my website, theseraphimlifecoach.com, I have the option to opt in or request my recent publication. It's a workbook, Divorce with Dignity, of course, that's what it's called, a journey devotional and workbook.
Oh, awesome.
So you can just put something in the comments and I'll send that to you, free of charge. It's my gift to you. And you can also book appointments on there, or just send me a text or whatever, get in touch with me. I have a very quick response time when people reach out to me. So thank you, Karen, and it's been wonderful to see you. I think we're scheduled to speak December 10th, I believe.
Yes, right before the other, because I know you guys have Thanksgiving coming up.
Right.
So happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Thank you.
And then we all have our holidays in December. So I also want to mention to everybody here that if you've missed this and you're not on Instagram, it's going to be put up on our YouTube channel. So go to divorceworkshop.ca and you can see this conversation whenever you want. I'll send you the link to Anastasia, and thanks for coming, and we'll see you December 10th.
Yeah, and I also want to invite people, if you have a topic that's interesting to you, if you have a topic that's of interest, just drop it in the chat and we'll be glad to tailor our future conversations around that.
Yeah.
I think there's something in the chat.
It's about social media
Oh,
design.
okay. All right.
But,
All right. Well, great, Karen. Thank you so much.
yeah, take care and we'll see you soon.
Have a
Okay,
beautiful
you
day.
too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.